Assalamualaikum and warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming to this session. Have you ever heard of child marriage being described as one of the biggest barriers to gender equality? And have you ever heard how millions of girls worldwide are forced into marriage before the age of 18, losing their chance at education and health? So today you are with me, Muhammad Hakim bin ZULKIFLI, law student at Faculty of Law UKM, as your moderator for this session entitled Ending Child Marriage, A Path to Gender Equality. Ladies and gentlemen, this topic really makes us pause. Child marriage is not just a statistic, it's a life reality for millions of girls worldwide. It cuts across health, education, and human rights, and tackling it is essential if we are serious about achieving gender equality. Today, we will discuss about causes these issues, effect of these issues, while child marriage need to be end, and solution for this issue. Without further ado, let us get right into our first beautiful and charismatic panelist, NURAMANINA, HUDA, BINTI, and WAHAB, ZAWAWI, law student at Faculty of UKM. How are you today, Amelia?
Hi, today I'm very excited and very looking forward to sharing and hearing different perspectives in this forum on ending child marriage, a path to gender equality.
Thank you, Amelia. Nas is our handsome and charming second panelist from law student at Faculty of Law UKM, SYAHIDSAFWAN bin SHAHRULHAKIM. How are you feeling today?
Hello everyone, I'm SYAHIDSAFWAN and I'm very excited to be part of this forum. I look forward to sharing ideas and learning from different perspectives and engaging in this meaningful discussion.
Thank you, Shahid. Now we go into our third intelligent and dedicated panelist from law student at Faculty of Law UKM, Al-HAZIQ HUSAINI bin SHAHARITA. How are you today?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I feel very, very good today, and I hope we all could get along together and spread a new message across around the world. Yeah.
Thank you, Haziq. Now, Leslie, our brilliant and beautiful panelist from law student at Faculty of Law UKM, Dayang NURAMANINA binti Abang SAPE'EE. Do you excited to be here today?
The moderator, of course, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear all of our opinions about ending child marriage.
Thank you, Amanina. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now let's get into our second segment under the keyword overview of child marriage issue. Before that, let me start first with overview and definition of child marriage. According to the Porter Harry, child marriage defined is as marriage before the age of 18 remains a deeply entrenched global issue affecting millions of girls, particularly in regions such as Africa and South Asia. It is driven by complex factors including poverty, limited access to education, rural isolation, and cultural or religious norms that perpetuate the practice. The consequences of child marriage are devastating and far-reaching. The girls face increased risk of maternal and infant mortality, domestic violence, and curtailed education and economic opportunities. Ending child marriage is not only a moral imperative, but also a critical step towards achieving Sustainable Development Goal 5, which aims to promote gender equality and empower all women and girls. Our discussion today will explore these structural challenges and the right-based framework necessary to dismantle child marriage. So that's the big picture, child marriage as barrier to health, education, and quality. Let's hear from our first panelist who will provide their overview and insight to kick off the discussion. Now I would like to invite NURAMANINA HUDA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So, in my personal view, actually, child marriage should be understood as a serious gender equality issue rather than a cultural norm. Why? Because it reflects unequal power relations that deny the girls opportunity to make meaningful choices about their own lives. So, ending this practice is very essential to ensure that the girls are treated as individuals with rights, dignity, and equal opportunities. It requires not only legal reforms, but also the changes in social attitudes, that value girls' education and also long-term well-being.
Thank you, Amelia. Now we have just heard an important overview from our first panelist. To build on that, I'd now like to invite our second panelist, SYAHIDSAFWAN, to share their perspective and overview of child marriage.
Okay, thank you, moderator. So, in my personal view, child marriage is something we really shouldn't normalize. It takes away a child's right to grow up freely, to study, and make their own choices about life. Instead of giving them a chance to enjoy childhood, it forces them into adult responsibilities way too early, often leaving them stuck in poverty or unhealthy relationships. Because at the end of the day, protecting kids from early marriage isn't just about laws or traditions, it's about basic humanity. Every child deserves the chance to learn, dream, and build their future before being pushed into adulthood.
Thank you, Shahid, for your opinion. We've already heard some powerful insight from our earlier speakers. To continue broadening this discussion, I now like to turn our third panelist, Al-Haziq Husaini, who will share their overview and perspective on child marriage.
So thank you, Mr. Moderator. So in my opinion, we also know that the person who are involving in the child marriage is usually a person who is under age of the majority, which is under 80 years old. And this issue is closely related to SDG 5, which is the gender equality, which focusing improving women and girls. I can say child marriage mostly affect girls and limits their opportunity and life. Why? Because I'm saying this because girls who are married, they need to drop out from the school and focus it to become a mother at such a young age. So it does not take away their childhood, but also take away their dream to become a lawyer, to become a doctor, or to become a someone who they want to be. So I re- I really urge everyone to take a step together and stop the child marriage and stop this nonsense thing together.
Thank you, Haziq. Now we have different angles already, and now it's time to hear from our first panelist, Dayang Amanina. Now, Amanina, since you from rural area, what is your opinion about child marriage in rural area?
My opinion, child marriage in rural areas is often more prevalent because of limited access to education, weaker enforcement of laws, and economic pressures faced by the families there. Rural communities may also hold on to traditional norms that view early marriage as acceptable. These factors combine to make girls more vulnerable compared to those in urban settings like us. To address this, interventions need to be tailored specifically for rural contexts, expanding access to schools, providing financial support to the families there, and engaging community leaders in awareness programs are crucial. Laws against child marriage must also be enforced consistently, but they should be paired with community dialogue so that families understand the long-term benefits of delaying marriage. So, while the challenges in rural areas are significant, targeted strategies that combine education, economic support, and cultural engagement can make a real difference there.
Thank you, Dayang Amanina. And thank you to all our panelists for those insightful overviews. What we've heard today highlight that child marriage is not just a personal issue, but a structural one shaped by poverty, education, cultural norms, and community practices. Each of you has emphasized how it impacts health, right, and opportunity for girls and why ending is essential for achieving gender equality. Now let's move into the next segment for open discussion. We've set the stage with an overview of child marriage as a global challenge. To begin unpacking this issue further, I'd like to invite our first panelist, AMYLIA, HUDA, to discuss the root causes. Now the stage is yours.
So, okay, from a gender equality perspective, child marriage is not simply a cultural tradition, but instead a result of systemic gender equality. And according to a qualitative meta-synthesis by Potaheri 2024, child marriage is driven by interconnected social structures that disadvantage girls at multiple levels. So rather than being an individual choice, it reflects unequal power relations that shape girls' lives from a very young age. So today I will focus on two main causes of child marriage, which are patriarchal power structures and the perception of girls as economic and social burdens. So the first major cause is patriarchal family and social structures that limit girls' autonomy. In a patriarchal family structure, which means decision-making power is primarily held by male authority figures. It might be the fathers, might be the brothers, or even the husband, while girls only have little influence over the decisions that directly affect their lives. And Potahari 2024 also found that marriage decisions are often made by the parents, while girls expected to merely comply rather than giving their own consent. And in many contexts nowadays, early marriage is used to regulate the girl's behavior, preserve the family honor, and ensure conformity to traditional gender roles. So this reflects how gender inequality, because they are denied agency, treated as dependents, and excluded from opportunities such as education and personal development. So moving on to the second key cause is the perception of girls as economic and social liabilities. According to Portaheri 2024, in low income and resource limited settings, families might view their daughters as financial burdens, particularly when the girl's education is undervalued or seems like unnecessary. Early marriage is therefore framed as a practical solution to reduce the household responsibility by transferring the financial and social obligation to the husband. So this perception is further reinforced by community level poverty, limited access to schooling, and weak legal protection, where laws exist but are poorly enforced. So notably, boys are rarely subjected to the same expectations, which clearly highlights the gendered nature of child marriage. So overall, these two causes demonstrate that child marriage is deeply rooted in gender inequality rather than individual or cultural preference alone. So ending child marriage therefore requires challenging patriarchal power structures, transforming perception of girls' value, and strengthening legal and social system that protect the girls' right. So addressing these structural inequalities is very essential to achieving SDG 5 on gender equality and ensuring that girls are able to exercise autonomy over their own life. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. We have just explored the causes behind child marriage. Now, let us turn into consequences. I'd like to invite our second panelist, SYAHIDSAFWAN, to share the effect of child marriage.
Thank you, moderator. So, most people will perceive child marriage only effect in the aspect of physical. However, child marriage has severe physical, psychological, family, and social consequences that place girls at a clear disadvantage compared to boys. So, referring to the authors from the article, Exploring the Consequences of Early Marriage, a conventional content analysis published in 2023, early married girls face high risk and unwanted pregnancies, repeated childbirth, physical illness, depression, emotional distress, and suicidal behavior, as they are biologically and mentally unprepared for marriage and motherhood at a very young age to become a mother. So, within family life, they often experience marital dissatisfaction, economic dependence, sexual dissatisfaction, and physical, emotional, and even sexual violence. They are also denied decision-making power as husbands or in-laws control finances, childbearing, and personal freedom. In the same article, also states that socially, child marriage restrict girls' access to education, employment, social interaction, and forcing many to drop out of school and remain isolated at, at, due to being married at a very young age. So this evidence highlights how child marriage perpetuates unequal gender power relations and limits girls' right to health, education, autonomy, and even social participation.
Thank you, SYAHIDSAFWAN, for your opinion. Now we have looked at the causes and the effect of child marriage. Now let's focus on why ending this practical is so critical. Now I'd like to invite our third panelist, HAZIQ Husaini, to explain why child marriage must be abolished and how doing so is essential for achieving gender equality and protecting girls' rights. Now the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Okay, so the first thing that I would like to say about child marriage, why it to be end? Because first, child marriage harm girls' wealth and being. You know, they will put a girl in the serious threat of health due to the early pregnancy and the childbirth. You know why? This is because their body are not capable to carry the infant because they are still young. And I also believe, my personal, I think to be exposed in sexual activity at such a young age will leave a trauma and a serious bad experience for them. Even we adult ourselves still having sometimes we having a problem and suffer from the normal marriage. Then imagine how can a kids need to face this nonsense thing. Even we adult we cannot. As I refer to the article, Judy and the Walker, the complications arising from pregnancy are the main cause of death among girls aged 14 to 15 in developing world. So this is a very, very serious issue that we need to discuss. And I always thought myself to put me as a victim in the situation. And you know, in the Bangladesh, there are the 14 years old girls died after 34 married because of repeated sexual activity with her husband and caused internal bleeding, which is it's so bad for them to experience repeated sexual activity at such a young age. And then the second things that I would like to say today is a child marriage limits education and opportunity for their life. Um, you know, the girl often will push to drop out from the school and focus doing the house chores and taking care of the baby. So this will limiting their opportunity to become who they want. There's a lot of people want to become a lawyer, to become a pilot, and to become a teacher. But because of child marriage, their opportunity have been limited and they don't have a chance to go pursue their education in the high level. So their dream are just a dream. They are not like us. And as the article that I found, more than 80% girl aged 10 to 14 have never attended school and at the risk of early marriage. So, and in some country, especially in Africa, some parents view their daughter as a burden of the family and drain resource of the family. So what they do, they decide to invest less for them in education, so then they don't have the same opportunity as the boys. So this is a gender discrimination and really relatable to our SDG 5 gender equality. Why I really take care of the education. Why? Because I believe education is one of the most powerful things and the one of the keys to open multiple doors of opportunity and the solution to feel more empowered and bring a transformation. I have some message to girls out there who facing this issue. I want you guys to come up for yourself because you are the leader of your life. You need to talk about your own self because you worth everything. And please remember, you worth everything in this world and you are the matters in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, HAZIQ Husaini, for your wonderful points of view. So far, we have seen the problem of every angle. The big question now is, how do we solve it? Now, our fourth panelist, Dayang NURAMANINA, will walk us through possible solutions and interventions to bring child marriage to an end. Now, the stage is yours.
Thank you, moderator. Okay, as we all know, child marriage is still a major challenge that affects girls' rights, health, and education. It is often caused by poverty, traditions, and limited access to schools. Girls who marry too young usually drop out of school, face health risks from early pregnancies, and lose opportunities to build their future. This shows that child marriage is not only a family issue, but also a wider social problem that slow down progress toward SDG 5, which is gender equality. It has been said by UNICEF 2023 highlight several strategies that can help reduce child marriage. The first is empowering girls with life skills and information. When girls are given knowledge about their rights, reproductive skills, and also opportunities, they are more confident to delay their marriage. Programs that combine life skills with mentorship have shown success in helping girls continue their studies. The second strategy would be involving families and communities. Traditions and norms are strong, especially in rural areas. So change that must come from within. Parents, elders, and religious leaders play a big role. When they are included in awareness programs and community dialogues, they begin to see the negative impacts on child marriage, such as poverty continuing across generations. The third solution would be education. Girls who stay in school are far less likely to marry early. Scholarships, self-transport, and supportive school environments can make a very big difference. For example, in some regions, providing bicycle for girls to travel safely to school has reduced dropout rates and delay marriage. Another important approach is economic support. Poverty often push families to arrange early marriage families to arrange early marriages. Programs like conditional cash transfers, vocational training, and livelihood support give families alternatives. When families receive financial help, or when girls are trained with skills to earn more, marriage is no longer seen as their only option. Finally, the most important one is, of course, laws and enforcement must be strengthened. Many countries already have laws against child marriage, but they are not always applied. Stronger implementation combined with awareness campaigns ensures that these laws are not just symbolic but actually protect the girls. Communication strategies such as media campaigns and role models also help change harmful social norms by showing that girls can succeed through education and careers. So, in my opinion, no single solution is enough. Legal reforms, education, community involvement, and economic support must all work together. By combining these all strategies, societies can reduce child marriage and move closer to achieving gender equality under SDG 5. That is all.
Thank you, AMYLIA, and thank you to all our panelists for sharing such thoughtful perspective. We have seen how child marriage is driven by poverty, lack of education, and cultural norm, and we also heard about its devastating effect on health, rights, and opportunities. We have understood why ending it urgent for achieving gender equality. And finally, we have explored solutions that range from education and empowerment to stronger policies and community engagement. What this discussion made clear is that child marriage is not just individual issue, but a structural challenge that requires collective action. And it means protecting girls, strengthening families, and advancing society toward fairness and equality. With that, I'd like to thank our panelists once again, and I invite all of us to carry forward this insight into real change. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our forum on ending child marriage, a path to gender equality. Today, our panelists have guided us through the causes, the effects, the urgent reasons why child marriage must end, and the solution we can pursue together. Their insights remind us that this issue is not only about protecting children, but also about advancing health, education, and human rights for all. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to sincerely thank you, our panelists, for their valuable contribution and our audience for your engagement and thoughtful attention. Let us carry forward the knowledge shared today into meaningful action. With that, I officially close this forum. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.